Thunderbolt. The name itself is exciting. Listen. That's the motor of an unlimited hydroplane. The thundering sound of the engine is only one reason why enthusiasts call hydroplanes thunderbolts. Hydroplanes are the fastest racing boats on the water. They can reach speeds up to an incredible 200 miles an hour. And when they thunder across the water, you know where they got their nickname. It takes a lot of money and preparation to create a thunderboat like the NotreDame. Each one is built for speed. All the imagination and preparation and expenses for one purpose: to build a boat that can win a race.
During the grim air battles of World War II, speed was no sport. It was a desperate necessity. And in fast fighters like the Mustang and Spitfire, it came from huge Rolls-Royce engines. Today, those same snarling V12 engines are beefed up to deliver over 2,000 horsepower, then bolted into fragile plywood racing hulls. And speed becomes a sport called unlimited hydroplane racing. This is a thunderboat. She hurtles down the chute at 170 miles per hour. For 300 feet behind her, she leaves a plume called a rooster tail, 75 feet tall, 12 tons of water in the air. This is the color-filled, hazardous world of unlimited hydroplane racing. These contests of men and machines usually take place on rivers or lakes. But when they came to San Diego, California, they fought it out for the championship, the American Powerboat Association Gold Cup, on a quiet bay of the Pacific Ocean. Our Gold Cup story starts here. U7 Incorporated, Seattle, Washington. This is the home of NotreDame, ninth racer to carry that name in a competitive dynasty that goes back to 1935. NotreDame is 30 feet long, 13 feet 4 inches in the beam. She weighs 3 1/4 tons. But when that big rolls opens up, she lifts out of the water like a feather. Though she's powerful, she's also delicate, with hundreds of small parts. Even in the heat of a race, every change in temperature, every movement on a dial must be closely watched and understood. Crew Chief Bob Esplin must be a combination expert mechanic, skilled woodworker, and race strategy expert. And Leif Borgeson is more than NotreDame's driver. He's also an engine expert, able to diagnose problems as they develop during a race. NotreDame's Rolls-Royce Merlins are being loaded for the long trip to San Diego. Engine mortality is high in a fierce thunderboat competition. That's not hard to understand when you remember that these engines were designed to turn 2,800 RPM in an airplane, while in a hydro, they're expected to turn 4,000. They reverse the fighter's engine in a hydroplane. The front becomes the rear because that's where the propeller is. Supercharger and carburetor are then repositioned, and a special racing gearbox is installed. The step-up box turns the propeller 3 times faster than the engine. At 4,000 engine RPM, the prop turns 12,000. And when the hull lifts out of the water so that the prop spins free, watch it. The whole engine's likely to disintegrate, like this one. That's why a successful hydro is really a tribute to a crew who change engines faster and more often than they'll change shirts. Boats begin to arrive at the San Diego pits about 4 days before the race. Sometime in those 4 days, each boat must qualify by completing 3 consecutive laps of the 2.5-mile course at or above an average 95 miles per hour. The NotreDame crew sets to work right away. All the tools and parts that were so carefully packed in Seattle are now unloaded and ready for use. By the end of the next 5 days, NotreDame's crewmen will feel like they performed this operation 1,000 times. But not a man will complain, because This is the big one. This is the Gold Cup race. The race they've aimed at since the first piece of lumber was cut for the Notre Dame's hull. Sure, there were other races, and they've done well. Notre Dame stands fourth in the national high point standing and is a consistent front-runner. But the Gold Cup's the important one. And Notre Dame's crew, owner, and driver want that cup more than any other. To get it, they'll have to race Notre Dame 60 miles around Mission Bay and finish faster than a dozen other boats with the same ambition. Borgerson's crew make a few final adjustments to the big Rolls-Royce engine. Then Notre Dame is ready to be lifted into her natural habitat. Once on the race course, much of Notre Dame's success depends on her driver. Blake Borgerson is no newcomer to this sport. He was racing outboards when he was 9 years old. Since then, he's tried his hand at just about every kind of water racer there is. Outboards, limited inboards of all descriptions, and now hydro. At 23, Borgerson's a veteran with the Notre Dame crew. But it was only a year ago that he actually raced the big boat for the first time. He qualified in the race at Coeur d'Alene, then went on to win second place in his second race. And that race just happened to be last year's Gold Cup. Not bad for a rookie. In his first full year in Thunderboats, the national point standings show Borgerson in fourth place, right up there with the legendary names like Bill Munsey and Bill Sterrett, Bill Shoemaker, and Fred Alter. Tension starts to build in the Notre Dame's crew. These qualifying laps are essential. Leif must average at least 95 miles an hour. That means straightaway speeds of over 170 miles per hour. Although that's certainly not Notre Dame's top, everyone will feel a lot better when those laps are safely out of the way. And he's away, driving the first 15 miles on toward the Gold Cup. Only an area as large as a pocket handkerchief is touching the water as Notre Dame skims across the sea at San Diego. She's out to qualify for the Gold Cup, fastest, toughest, most glamorous powerboat race in the world. Driver Leif Borgerson slams her down the chute or back straightaway. 130, 40, 160 miles per hour as he roars past the shutdown buoy. Borgerson plays the foot pedal against the rudder, working it through the turn, staying on the power. He's taking no chances with lower, safer speeds. Other boats thunder out of the pits for their practice and qualifying laps. And already there are casualties, overheated engines that have blown up, shattered rods, broken superchargers. Some highly tuned fighter plane engines don't last long in this punishing sport. Borgerson flashes past again on the end of his second lap, and Notre Dame completes 2/3 of a solid qualification. Lots of boats tear up the course now, and Mission Bay is choppy. There goes defending champion Miss Bardall, also from Seattle, a dangerous challenger in the hands of her driver, Fred Alter. Notre Dame completes her third and last qualifying lap with an average speed of 113.164 miles per hour, well above what she needs. Leif's pleased with Notre Dame's qualifying performance. The engine ran perfectly, but even so, the crew will take it out to be completely inspected. In its place, they'll install one of the 5 other engines they've brought with them. The rotation of engines and constant reservicing goes on throughout every race. Borgeson's job for the day has just begun. Now his training as a mechanic comes into play as the crew crowds around him for a complete debriefing. They want every detail of the Thunderboat's performance. Everything that doesn't sound just right is checked immediately.
Bob Miller drove the second heat. Leave that one out.
Leave that one out.
Notre Dame's crewmen are engaged in the ticklish business of filling bottles of nitrous oxide. Under high pressure, this laughing gas is injected into the boat's fuel system to add extra super cold oxygen to the fuel mixture. The output is controlled by a switch in the cockpit, and it's up to Borgeson to judge where and when he most needs that rocket-like kick that will send Notre Dame surging to speeds of 170 or more. The nitrous is just as hard to handle here in the pits as it is out on the course, and is carefully stored and kept cool to reduce the pressure. Notre Dame has her new engine in place, and with everything checked out, she's all set to go again. There's only time for cold hot dogs and lukewarm coffee while the crew plans strategy. Then it's more qualification laps until race time. Best qualifying time means additional glory for the whole team and added respect from the competition. This is the day before the Gold Cup race, and suspense builds as crowds gather to watch the dozen boats that tomorrow will fight it out for a $61,000 purse. Excitement builds on the beach at San Diego as crowds gather for the spectacle of the American Powerboat Association Gold Cup race.
All right, we're drawing now for 3A again. 3A. Miss Budweiser in 3A. Drawing now for 3B. 3B.
Leif Borgeson's first heat will be a tough one. He's drawn off against some of the best boats and drivers in the game.
Now we're drawing back to 3A. 3A. There. 3A is Xavier Strom. No, we already got it.
Miss Bardall, last year's Gold Cup winner. Bill Muncie's ready for a ride in Miss U.S. Muncie holds more wins than any other driver in hydro history. Notre Dame's owner, Shirley Mendelson McDonald, wants a Gold Cup this afternoon to match the one earned by her father's Notre Dame back in 1937. Everything's ready in the official grandstand. Time to start the countdown. The name of the game is to hit that starting line first and faster at the instant the clock blacks itself out. But jump the clock and you get a penalty lap, an extra 2.5 miles added to your race. That practically eliminates a boat and proves why in hydro racing the start is all important. It's a good start. No penalty laps assigned, and they're off on the first of 6 2.5-mile laps. That gigantic rooster tail can be a potent weapon in the hands of a competitive driver. And you'll go a long way to find drivers more skilled than these. Coming out of the turns, the drivers are already building power to hit top speed in the chute. Bardol by, with Fred Alter working her up through the pack. Leif Borgerson is doing well, and Notre Dame surges ahead, breaking free of the competitive wakes. But Miss Bardol's not far behind, dueling with Miss Budweiser for a chance to move in on Notre Dame. Back ashore, the Notre Dame owners and crew are thrilled to see just what they came for. Notre Dame way out front, leading the other boats into the 6th and final lap of this first heat. A solid win. As Borgerson brings Notre Dame back to the pits, other boats leave for the next heat. Before the afternoon is over, Leif must drive another 30 miles in 2 more heats to secure for himself and Notre Dame a place in that 4th and final heat for the Gold Cup. For Leif, there is roughly an hour between heats, time for tension to build before he faces new competition. But for the crew, the time seems all too short as they race to get the old engine out, get a new one in and ready. The race isn't helped any when a nitrous oxide bottle overheats and blows. Bad luck settles on the Notre Dame crew when Borgerson runs into engine trouble during his second heat.
One stack was blowing water out of it the whole race. And I came out to stay with him to get around him. I got to use the nitrous.
Now into the third heat, Borgerson desperately needs a win to earn him the points to qualify for the final heat, the big one that leads to the Gold Cup. And he may just have that win. Notre Dame looks that good. Grueling competition takes its toll. Fred Alter has been lapping Bardol at speeds of 105, but the checkerboard Comet's big engine suddenly dies. As if that were a signal, there's a sudden fire as raw fuel gushes from the broken interior of the pride of Pay and Pack's engine. Then all the bad luck catches Notre Dame at one time. She goes dead in the water. No explanation. Fred Alter. Bill Muncy. Leif Borgerson. Their disappointment is keen. They had pushed their machines and each other to speeds of 170 miles per hour and faster. Finally, something had to give. These drivers wouldn't back off, so it had to be the engine, something made of metal, not flesh. The race goes on. The Thunderbolts battle across Mission Bay for a chance to be in that fourth and final heat. And about 5 p.m. it starts. But it starts without NotreDame.
And then what? They just lost power. I don't know what it was. I don't know what it was.
But there'll be other races, and NotreDame will be back to continue a proud tradition. Once you've experienced the thrill of unlimited hydroplane racing, you can't shake it. The color, the challenge, the fulfillment, the disappointments. Owner Shirley Mendelson McDonald, driver Leif Borgeson, all the NotreDame crew, they'll return stronger, more determined than ever. It's their keen interest and love of the sport that makes unlimited hydroplane racing one of the greatest spectacles on the water.
Quite a thrill personally for me to have Leif Borgeson with me and be able to talk to him. Leif, how do you feel?
Very well, Bill.
Leif, I'm sure a lot of the folks would like to know a little about yourself. When did you start racing?
When I was 9 years old in Seattle, Washington, racing outboards.
What size boat was that?
Very small, about a 10-footer with a 5-horsepower motor on it.
What'd you turn over?
About 25 miles an hour.
Well, that's pretty good. That's faster than I've gone.
Starter.
Leif, this unlimited hydroplane, the NotreDame, is this about the ultimate in unlimited hydroplanes, you think?
It is the Grand Prix of racing, any type of style boat. It's very large and very fast.
I'm sure fellas have asked you this, but do you get nervous out there? You get a little bit...
Pre-race type of thing, you get a little nervousness. Every driver has his own, more or less, quirk, you might call it. Myself, I'm normally more nervous after I come in from the race.
Leif, it takes a lot of people in this team, doesn't it?
Right. We have about 7 full-time personnel, actually, with us all year round. And they're all doing a very, very hard job.
Leif, we want to thank you and wish you a lot of luck in the future. What do you think the next step is with these boats?
Faster speeds, of course, a little bit better acceleration. We're working on this every day.
Then they'll just take off, and you'll have a boat race and an airplane race.
Right.
Thanks very much, Leif. You might ask the question, why do men continue to invest so much time and energy and love in these racing machines? I don't suppose there's any one answer. There's the glamour and the color, the thrills, of course, and the excitement. There is the challenge, and there's that steady roar a man hears in his mind until the next race, the sound of his thunderbolt.